I remember is holding that can of Canadian, looking at like everyone I was with, and we did one cheers, took a sip, boom, blacked out. Don't remember nothing. I started getting flashbacks. It was like I was taking like really long blinks. Like you close your eyes, you open them for a second. I see something, close my eyes. Now I'm somewhere else. And so when I finally kind of woke up, what had happened was I fell in the lake. It's pitch black. Now I'm like freezing. And I'm holding on to patches of ice. So about 5 to 10 minutes went by. And that's when the panic set in. And I'm like, help, I'm screaming, help me, I'm in the water, help me.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Someone Like Us, the podcast where your hosts, Anne, Joelle, and me, share stories and experiences about living abroad and navigating life. Today's episode is going to be tender, real, and maybe a little heavy. We are talking about addiction, sobriety, and how sometimes a person's lowest moment can become the doorway to an entirely new life. In Canada today, about 1 in 5 people will struggle with a substance use disorder in their lifetime, and alcohol is the most common substance involved. It's a reminder that these struggles are far more common than many of us realize, and that recovery is possible. I'm so grateful to introduce today's guest, someone I've been lucky to know for years. He's a friend, someone I deeply admire, and in his own words, a self proclaimed yapper. So we are in for a treat because he's going to share his journey in all honesty and detail. Loris, thank you for joining us on our podcast and being willing to be vulnerable for our listeners. Welcome to our
Thank you for
podcast.
having me.
Yay! Before we dive into heavier parts of your story, I'd love to rewind a little. Tell us about your childhood. What were you like as a kid?
At what age does a kid stop?
I would say like 14 is where you
Perfect.
become like
Yeah,
a
that's
teenager,
that's
right?
where life started to change.
Mm.
Growing up, everything was cool. My mom worked in travel agency, so we traveled around quite often. Uh, my
Mhm.
dad worked late night restaurant shifts and management roles, but we were downtown Toronto, it was out and about with all my friends
Oh,
all the
damn.
time, getting into trouble, you know?
Oh, wow. So what happened at when you turned into a teenager? What changed?
I mean, there's so many factors that go into it, right? There's like, I was young, I moved away from Toronto, so I moved away from everyone who I knew. Now at,
Mm.
10 years old, I basically had to restart all my friendships, and
Mm.
at around like 14, 15, that's when my mom got diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. And that's when shit started to hit the roof. And, just being with your
Mm.
friends after that, you're like, well, you kind of started seeing life differently when someone you love is going through that. And it affected the whole family. And that's when things kind of started turning south in a way.
Right. So did you start drinking at a pretty early age or was it later?
Like I was thinking about this last night.
Mhm.
So I have a friend. We hung out at his house a lot. In the basement, they had, the pop fridge. You had Cokes, Sprites, whatever.
Mm.
But on the bottom drawer, the dad kept his beers. And we weren't
Mm.
necessarily drinking them, but we wanted to create the illusion that we were. So we started hiding the beer bottles.
That's so
And
funny.
one time we actually took a beer bottle and we were probably like 14, 15. I can't remember the exact age. And there was like 7 of us and we split one beer bottle. We're like, yo, we're so drunk, dude. And I think that was like the first time that I had alcohol. But in my culture, especially like Eastern European, it's normal, right?
Mhm.
So with old Eastern European values, I guess, like in Romania, there's a moonshine called Tuica. I think it's like a vodka or something like that.
Mm.
I can't remember. You basically do a shot of that before each time you eat. So like dinner, lunch, whatever. So so
Oh
that's
wow.
been around my whole life. And so, the joke, the inside joke is that, oh, I'm Eastern European, I can drink. I've been drinking since I was like 6 years old. No, it started when I was 14. That's the first time I can remember having a drink.
Oh wow.
I agree with that because when Joel introduced to us that you will be coming on our podcast talking about, alcohol and alcoholism. And she also mentioned that you are Romanian. And I grew up in Russia. So like the moment you said that she was Romanian, I was like, yeah, that kind of checks out. Because personally, we started drinking like I first time I tried cigarettes was 12 years old. Obviously, it was just like I wanted to try what it is, and then drinking probably started at 13, and then from 13 years old till 18 years old, like we were heavily drinking always. It was like just there was nothing to do, just like hang out and drink. When you're a teen, it's just like basically like God given. Everyone's
Mhm.
drinking, so it's either you're trying to fit in and drink, or you're gonna be one of those weird kids that like doesn't drink at all.
Yeah, you just, I don't know. For me, it wasn't even like that. Like, it was just, I remember we took the bottle and we all thought that we were cool, but then I don't think I had another sip of beer for like another 4 years. So it wasn't like, yeah, it wasn't like
Oh
I started drinking right away. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing the story about your mom. But would you say when you started drinking, was it because like partially you were trying to cope with that, or was it mostly because let's say like it was just
Not
what teens do?
necessarily that. There was a whole lot of other things that had happened. Uh,
Mm.
Mm.
and you kind of, I don't know, like I don't want to talk bad about my dad, but he's an alcoholic. So when
Mm-hmm.
that happened, he kind of like
Mm.
went off the rails. And he was in denial about it. Like there was a couple times where I would get in the car, he would drive me to school or whatever. And you know how some cars, like in between passenger and drivers, there's like a armrest, but it's like a CD case or something like that, like somewhere they just stuff.
Mm-hmm.
One time I took it out because I
Yeah.
knew that he had like more CDs and albums in there, and I found like empty beer bottles instead. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is what we're doing now. Sick. And I don't think he wanted me to
Mm.
know that, but I don't I don't ever think that I brought it up to him. I think I was just getting in the car one time to look for CDs. But yeah, that was a weird period because my mom got sick, and then he was working in Toronto, and like I said, he was a manager, so he was always there super late. So he was still living in Toronto for a certain period of time. And then that's when the cheating scandals happened and all of that. And then around 15, that's when I started to rebel. So that's when I started getting into
Mm.
more trouble, getting into more fights, trying to make my friends laugh even more because I'm like, dude, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be at home. I'm just going to be out until like 3 in the morning. We weren't necessarily partying, drinking, none of that, but it was just like to be surrounded by my friends rather than to be at home and dealing with all my home stuff.
Yeah, that's very heavy to deal with as a kid and as a teenager. I can, yeah, that's very tough. So, what about later years? When did alcohol actually became a part of your life?
So because I had so much resentfulness for my dad, I didn't want to be like him because everyone all my life is like, "Oh, you're
Yeah.
exactly like him." So I stopped kind of drinking besides like birthdays or New Year's and stuff like that, but I was never going out Fridays, Saturdays. So I would say like 20, 22, 23.
So pretty late, like after teenage, like it's been a
Yeah.
while that you got back into it. What
Yeah, that seems
happened?
responsible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did something change at that time, or were you just like, oh, my friends are doing it, so I have to do it? Like, did you feel a peer pressure, or was it just you wanted
I
to?
feel like I feel like I robbed myself of being a kid or like a teenager to have those experiences, to go out to the clubs and things like that.
Yeah.
And so then I started working at a different place where, for the first time in my life, everyone is my age. So we're all young 20s, just, let's go out Friday, let's go grab a drink after work. And so it kind of started from there. And then that's when I was just like, all right, like, yeah, this is cool. It was like a not peer pressure, no nothing. It was just like, all right, yeah, I can go out for a drink. Let's go. And then, next thing you know, it's 3 weekends in a row with the same group of 20 people.
Yeah. Do you think that's like Toronto culture though? I feel like every weekend people have to go out and drink.
And it gets worse as you get older because you go from, they say the weed is a gateway drug, but you go from weed, alcohol, then all of a sudden there's cocaine, then there's X, Molly, all this and that.
Yeah.
It also like drinking alcohol and going out is just like such a norm as well, right? Like if you say like, oh my God, it's Friday night, like what are you gonna do? Like you're not gonna go. I mean, you probably can go to the movies, but most of the time just gonna go out and drink, right? And I feel like the alcoholism or whatever, like it starts with like socially drinking, right? I cannot go out on any social occasion without having a drink. Like for me, I get so much anxiety, and I feel like, okay, like if I need to go and I have to talk to a lot of people, I need to be a little bit free. I need to have like, at least a little bit of drink. And I also like, it gets to the point when if I'm standing there and everyone has a drink in their hand and I don't have a drink in my hand, it feels weird to me.
Yeah.
Like the moment it feels like that, I'm like, okay, I need to find the bar. I need to find the bar so I can get another drink. So I can just hold it in my hand at least.
And it's funny you say that because the place that I was working was a movie theater. So Friday, Saturdays, the movie theater is the last place that we were going.
Really?
I think it's very interesting. So I don't drink. Sometimes I feel like it would be better for me if I kind of enjoy drinking, but I don't. I just don't like the taste of the alcohol. I remember when I was young, my dad would just send me to a store and then buy draft beer for him. And then on special occasion, some clients will give him like some boxes of red wine. And then he would just have wine, I wouldn't say every day, but then, once you open a box of red wine, you want to finish it. So he literally have it every meal. And he encouraged me to try because, he's a good dad. So he said, well, if you want to get drunk in front of me. So I would say I was exposed and encouraged to try alcohol when I was really young. But for some reason, I didn't really enjoy it. I mean, try a little bit drappy and yeah, it's nice in the summer, but that's it. I have a lot of uncles and they all very into alcohols. So they would take shot. Every time we gather at my grandma's house, they're going to bring vodka. They're going to bring whiskey. And they would literally finish a bottle of vodka every meal. And I guess looking at them getting wasted kind of made me stay away from like a drunk state because I know that
you got the ick.
Yeah, I'm like, that's not a cool look. I rarely see my dad drunk. He's pretty good at self-control, but one time, maybe because of his brother, he got drunk and he got into an accident. And thank God someone on the street knew him and then brought him home. Like he wasn't injured or anything, but he just passed out on the street. And someone brought him home. And I think that kind of stayed with me. So I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be in that situation. I guess, first of all, I don't enjoy the taste. And second of all, looking at my uncles and then my dad accident, like I didn't want to be in that situation.
Probably because you were exposed so early and your parents were like free, like here, drink if you wanna. Because we always say if your parents say don't do it, then the first thing is like I should probably go and do that. Yeah. Like my parents were really strict. It was like no alcohol at all. No alcohol, no cigarettes, no boyfriends, and of course, like all three of them, I checked it all out when I was a teenager, right? So I feel like part of it is, of course, like it's a part of rebelling. And secondly, and I don't think anyone likes the taste of alcohol.
That's
actually.
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I cannot say that I like it. You just,
Yeah.
like none of them is enjoyable. Like every time I take a shot, I'm like, why am I even doing that? This is disgusting. But it's just like a part of it, So just so you know, and like it tastes like to everyone too.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know.
especially shots.
Mm. What about you, Joel, actually?
Yeah, it's not the taste of the alcohol. I don't know, but it feels like there's a point when, I mean, I don't do it anymore, and it's all because of therapy and mindfulness or whatever you call it. But I used to come to a point while drinking where I just now want to be blackout drunk. Like, I don't care anymore.
Mm.
I need more alcohol now. And I don't know why that was. I still am trying to figure it out, but I don't know if that happens to you guys, like Loris or me, while drinking. But it comes to a point where I'm like, I need more alcohol in my system. And I know it's not a
Mm-hmm.
good thing, but I still go ahead and do it.
Yeah, it's very hard for me to control myself when I'm like drinking alcohol because I'm either in a state like, oh, I think I'm not drunk enough, and then I should probably drink more, and then it's like, bam, oh, I think I'm too drunk now.
Yeah.
So there's no in between. There's no like this medium stage where I'm like, oh my god, I'm nicely tipsy. It's either like I'm not really tipsy at all, or like I'm overly tipsy. But Joelle, when did you start drinking? Like, when was the first time you tried alcohol?
I think it was the same like Loris. I was pretty like late to it, like 22, 23. It wasn't early on. My parents were, I don't think my parents were open as aunts, and I haven't seen a lot of people drinking around me. So yeah, like I wasn't influenced at all. It was just like, oh, in college when others were doing it, I was like, okay. But honestly, I started getting blackout drunk in Toronto because I feel like it was Toronto, like it's so lonely, and sometimes life is tough and you just want to keep drinking to forget. And then you just get blackout drunk and then get up and do the same thing all over. It was just a
Like
repeat.
me and you, we would be drinking at your place until like 7 in the morning at times.
Yeah,
Like it was
I
bad.
know. I remember those days.
I don't.
Yeah. You're trying to forget it.
Yeah.
You're like, I do not want to.
Yeah, I think it's not social pressure, but social norm definitely is one of the factor that I notice that people tend to, maybe they don't enjoy drinking, but they do it so that they can socialize. Because I was born and raised in Vietnam. Alcohol is not something that people always do when they go out. Like when we go out with friends, we might just go grab like a milkshake, some bubble tea, or just green tea, and we just hang out together or, play something. Going to the bar and pub, I guess it's not really popular back then. Now there are a lot of bar and pubs in Hanoi, Vietnam, is everywhere. But I guess we have another options to hang out, other than just going to a bar and then grab a drink and have fun. So I think it's definitely culture.
It's so interesting that Anne's saying that because obviously I'm Vietnamese as well, but because I didn't live in Vietnam, I only come because I come home to visit like like relatives and chill with other friends. All we did was drinking. Like, like there was like bars where we would show up like every Friday, or there was like time when we would like every day we would go to a different bar and just like drink. And then in Hanoi, all the bars they close at, is it 2 a.m.? I think 2 a.m. is the law, right, Anne?
I have no idea, never been.
Oh yeah. I think it's like the law is like 2 a.m. So then like after that we would like go and try to find like after parties, some like other like bars that was like low key that would be open till 6 a.m.
I mean,
fun
in Toronto,
times.
there's like a bunch of after hours places, right? After me and Joel stopped being like close and everything that happened, the place that we worked at was like a very toxic environment. Whereas
it was.
where like everyone was on something all the time, right? So you're either drinking and then you get a couple drinks in and all of a sudden the cocaine comes out, or you just kept drinking. I never touched any other drug. So for me, I'm just going to keep drinking. So then, you find out, oh, hey, this place is open for, it's cheaper for servers, so we can go there and they're open until like 4 or 5 a.m. And then you find another one. Oh, this one's open until 7 a.m. And then you find another one. So you're just kind of like going back and forth, paying cash to all these sketchy bars. And you're paying like probably double what you should be paying, but you're like, it's open and it's 5 a.m. Let's keep going. Yep.
Yeah, that's a dark time. I also don't want to remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about a very specific moment that changed everything for you, if you're comfortable sharing with our audience. What had happened that changed everything for you?
Leading up to it, I have to start off by saying that me and my brother, about a year beforehand, got into a really big fight, and we stopped talking. And
Oh God.
it hurt me because me and my brother grew up pretty close to each other. Like, we're 5 years apart, but he had to look after me when my parents were at work and everything. And then when I moved up here, when everything that had happened up here, my parents eventually ended up both leaving back to Toronto, and then I was just kind of up here. So he was still living in the area, but he wasn't living at home. So he would come in, check up on me, things like that. So for us to have this fight over something that I don't, to this day, I don't quite understand what I did. We stopped talking. And then one day, it just kind of, we both gave each other like a half-ass apology over text. And that didn't really change anything, but at least we spoke. And then I want to say about a month before it happened, we actually said our apologies. And then 2 days before it happened, he sent me a message at like 4 a.m. saying, "I love you." Well, the next morning, like I broke down, like I started crying because I haven't heard that from him in a while. And so then the next morning I texted him. I was like, "Hey, are you okay? Like, what was that about? You scared me." And he goes, "I had a dream that you died, or that like we were kids and that we were playing with something and it got wrapped around your neck and you couldn't breathe." And so then that night I went out, got blacked out. The next night was my company Christmas party. So I blacked out the night before. Now it's a Christmas party night. Some of my friends are like, "Holy shit, dude, you're alive." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, haha." The restaurant had a rule. You can't have like 2 drinks or something like that.
Yeah, like 2 drinks. More than that, you can't have
Yeah,
that in the
and it
bar.
was like you can do like double drinks, but like you can't have more than 2 in your hand. Now, because I know the bartenders, it was the management, they knew that I can drink. So they were fine passing me, sometimes a triple. And everything is free, by the way, right? So everything is free. They're giving me triples, they're giving me 2 drinks, quickly pound it down. I don't even have to ask for another one. Slides me another drink. Then there's another bar slightly down the street from us that stayed up later or was open later. And because I'm an alcoholic, the bartenders there knew me too. So as soon as I walk in, "Hey, here's a Canadian," right? And I was like, "All right, cool." The last thing that I remember is holding that can of Canadian, looking at like everyone I was with, and we did one cheers, took a sip, boom, blacked out. Don't remember nothing. I started getting flashbacks. It was like I was taking like really long blinks. Like you close your eyes, you open them for a second. I see something, close my eyes. Now I'm somewhere else, right?
Oh God.
Yeah. So what I remember is me listening to a song by Good Charlotte called "I Just Want to Live." So I'm drunk, I'm feeling it. I just want to live, right? But I'm having these blinking moments. So I'm not remembering everything as one moment. I'm remembering me being at one place, opening my eyes. I just want to live. Another place, opening my eyes. I'm still singing the song. But every time I was opening my eyes, I was looking down at my feet. And so when I finally kind of woke up, what had happened was I fell in the lake between like the wall and the boat. So, and it was wintertime. So I fell
Yeah.
in.
That's crazy.
I fell in. Yeah.
Like Lake Ontario.
Yeah.
It was right at I think it's where York Street ends, like at Harborfront down there. There's there's a little red hut. I forget what it is. I think it's like a souvenir shop. And then I think it's a Sobeys or something right there, the grocery store, right? So I fell in the water there in between the wall and the boat. And the way that I was holding myself up is I was using my legs to push up my back on the boat. So now when I come to, I'm looking at my legs. I'm looking at my feet. But I don't realize that my feet are up, like aligned with my face. I think I'm
Oh God.
yeah.
You're basically like
I
lying.
think I'm looking down, and it's
Oh,
pitch
God.
black.
You didn't even feel like
Nothing.
cold or anything.
Wow.
So that's happening, but now I'm awake. Now from this moment on I remember everything. And I remember just kind of like being there, like I just want to live, and I'm like, man, it's getting cold, and like I'm just kind of looking around. Hasn't really set in what has happened. And it's pitch black, and I kind of like look up and I see like street lights like down the way. And I'm like, yo, why is it so cold? Like I wasn't cold before, now I'm like freezing. And I'm holding on to patches of ice. That's how I'm staying afloat as well. So when I fell in, I don't know how I fell in. I fucked up my left knee and my right shoulder. And then I'm like looking around, I'm like, oh shit, I'm in the lake. And it's pitch black, so I'm trying to see if there's like a ladder or something that I can try and climb out of. And I was too afraid to move my legs because I realized my legs were holding me up. And so about 5 to 10 minutes went by, and that's when the panic set in, and I started screaming for help. For some reason, I guess because I like to watch war movies, you know, the battle cry, I guess, when like someone is desperate, they call out for their mom. So I started calling out for my mom, like, Mom, please help me. And eventually I see someone running like by the light, and I'm like, help, I'm screaming, help me, I'm in the water, help me. And finally this guy comes around. His name is David. I don't know who this guy is, don't know what he looks like. I remember his name. David was on the phone with 911. You know, he started talking to me, and at some point I kind of lost my footing, so I'm like scrambling to get back to, you know, holding into something. And the sheet of ice was, you know, I was using that like one of those little kiddie surfboard things when you learn how to swim, right? Because I don't know how to swim either, to add that to the mix.
Well, yeah, I was just about to ask, like, do you know how to swim? Not that I don't think that none of that matters much when you fall in the winter in the Lake Ontario. But it probably would help a little if you know.
I know
don't
how
know
to
how to swim
like
either.
kind of stay afloat. That's why I'm using that
Yeah,
block
same.
of ice. But David was, yeah, he's coherent. He, you know, he's talking to me. I told him my name. I told him my mom's name. I told him my address, my phone number. And then he went silent, and I was like feeling myself starting to black out again. Like I was feeling myself like feeling myself like, all right, I can go to sleep now. And so I was like, David, you got to keep talking to me, man. I got to keep talking. I got to, you know, make sure that I'm responding. And so he kept me talking the whole time. And then eventually the paramedics showed up, and then they have like this thing. You'll see it if you walk by a dock. It's like this huge pole with a curve on it. The paramedic was using that to keep me afloat. He just hooked me. And then they started talking to me. I had to wait for the fire department to get there. Fire department, 2 of them jump in. The other guys throw down a ladder. One of them holds the ladder. The other guy swims to get me. So they swim, they get me. They're like, hey man, you have to go up the ladder by yourself. And I said, I'll try, dude. You know, I was wearing like Timbs or like some heavy boots. Like I said, my heavy jacket, couldn't feel my arm. definitely couldn't move my leg. I'm pulling myself up with this one hand. I know it's not broken because I can move my arm, or I can move my fingers. So I'm holding the ladder at my chest with this arm, pulling myself up with this arm, and then they're pushing me. And then when I get to a point, like two of them grab me up top, strip me naked, the fastest I've ever been stripped naked. They throw me on the stretcher. They put a whole bunch of like warm heated blankets on me or whatever it is. You know, everything's going crazy, but I just want to talk to David. I'm like, David, where's David? Where's David? He's like, I'm right here, man. I'm right here. He's behind everyone else. And then for a moment, I broke down. I was like, David, I just want to let you know you saved my life.
Do you know how long
They
were you
estimated
in the
about
water?
45 minutes from the
Oh my
from
God.
the time that
The-
a call was made. David said that he thought he heard screaming, but he wasn't sure because, you know, it's downtown Toronto. You can hear screaming all the time. Then he said he just couldn't sleep and he kept hearing this screaming. He wasn't sure where it was coming from, and then he heard something about the water, so that's when he left the building. So he said he had heard the screaming for about 15 minutes. So in total, yeah, they said I was in the water for about 45.
Oh my God.
I wonder if it actually was helpful that you were drunk and had a lot of alcohol in you, so that kind of kept you warm in that freezing water. Because I cannot imagine being in the winter in Lake Ontario for 45 minutes. Like I feel like you would for sure get like a hypothermia
Yeah,
or
and
something.
I think I had that much alcohol in my body that I didn't get sick. I didn't, you know, not a sneeze, not a cough, nothing. So I get to the hospital at around 5 a.m. I was still pretty cold, so like I couldn't for sure say what was in pain. I knew my knee for a fact was in pain. My shoulder I couldn't move, but they were like, well, we think it's dislocated. We're not exactly sure. She kind of like tried to readjust it. And to be honest, I don't know if that actually made my shoulder worse or if it fixed it, because to this day, still have issues with my knee, still have issues with my shoulder. So doctors were not sure what to look for when it came to my knee. They said, dude, everything's fine. You know, over the course of maybe the next 2 months or so, everything's fine. We're not exactly sure. So I just kind of stopped going to the hospitals to look at my knee and shoulder because I wasn't getting any answers. But when I was in the hospital that night, I had photos somewhere, but my whole calf going from like my hip to my knee was purple, and like a bad color of purple. And then on this arm, around here was like all black. On the sides, I had like a couple bruises, markings, and things like that. But it was those two were the main ones, and I was afraid that I was going to lose my arm because it was black. Like it wasn't a color. It was just dark, and I thought it was frostbite because, like I said, like I had my hand or my arm on the sheet of ice, whatever, right? So I thought it was frostbite and I was going to lose my arm. So I get out of the hospital around 8 in the morning. When I was in the hospital, they said, can we contact someone? And I don't know my parents' phone numbers off by heart. This isn't, 2000 anymore.
Yeah.
So I knew that my mom is in the same system. So I told them her name and I said, look, if you find her, that's the number, and I know she's in the records here. So she comes back with a phone, gives me the phone to call her. She picks up and she's like, obviously super tired. I just woke her up. She goes, hello. And it's not from my phone. So she doesn't know who this person is calling her. He goes, hello. And I was like, hey, mom, just want to let you know I'm okay. I'm alive. I have,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, but I'm in the hospital. And then it's just quiet. And she goes, what do you need? I said, I need new clothes. I need someone to come pick me up. And she goes, okay, I'll go wake your father up. We'll be there in like half an hour. And then I put the phone down, and I knew my friends were going to be worried about me. So I used that phone to log into my Facebook to message one of my friends. And I said, hey, just in case you guys don't hear from me in the group chat for a couple days, I'm okay. I'm in the hospital. I'll explain everything when I can, but just know that I'm fine. And
Mm.
I put the phone down, and that's when everything hit. Like, I almost died. I almost disappeared into the bottom of the lake. No one would have found me, nothing. And I start crying, and there was a male nurse who came in, probably around the same age. He goes, what's wrong, dude? And I was like, look at me. Like, look at the shape that I'm in. I almost just died. Like, no one would have found me. And he goes, dude, I understand, but you're not the first person who's fallen in a lake. You're not going to be the last. You're going to be okay. And that kind of weirdly calmed me down, but also still didn't.
Yeah.
And then my family showed up. I had trouble walking, obviously. Went home, went to sleep for a couple hours, woke up. Of course, my mom again. Who were you with? What were you doing? Lecturing me about it. And I'm like, Mom, just stop asking me right now. I don't have the answers. I don't remember anything. How can you not remember? Were you really that drunk? Yes, Mom. Yes, I was that drunk.
If that moment hadn't happened, do you think your life right now would be much different?
I'd probably be dead. Like, the way that I was going, like I said, back to back, getting blacked out, and then your friends see you and they're like, holy shit, we thought you died. And then you go and literally almost die. Yeah, I needed that to happen so I can change my life.
Do you think this moment affect your friend's perception of alcohol?
No. It had nothing, no impact on them whatsoever. It started causing issues with me when I went sober because, I lost a lot of friends in that time period
Oh,
because we all had the same group, but then, when you're sober and you're hanging out with these people and, they're doing all this and that, they're saying crazy shit, and you're like, yo, are you guys hearing this right now? Like, this guy's so disrespectful, and this whole time we've just been drinking with him and doing all this. So then I chose to keep myself away from everyone. So I kind of isolated myself, and then my friends were continuing to hang out with these people. I'm like, dude, these guys say they hate us all the time. They make it seem like a joke, but when you're sitting there sober and you're listening to what they're saying, you're like, dude, these guys genuinely don't like us, and we go out with them. Why? This guy clearly says he doesn't like me. He wishes something else happened to me, and we're all just sitting there like laughing about it because we're getting drunk and we're having a good time, right? So then I was like, you know what? If you want to be friends with him, go be friends with him. I don't care that you guys are going out for your birthday. If you want to celebrate your birthday, me and you and, so-and-so, fine. But I'm not going if this guy's gone. Right. So it caused this whole friendship group, split and break up and choose a side. And, I'm the type of person where if my friend has an issue with someone, I have an issue with that person too. So I want my friends to be like that with me. And it hurt me.
Exactly.
It hurt me to see that they were still hanging out with them and posting pictures with them and all that shit while I was in bed trying to rest and, trying to figure out what can I do to hang out with my friends that doesn't involve walking, throwing something, drinking, because my options got super limited to what I could do for, that extended period of time.
Is there anyone around you that support you when you started
Being sober.
getting sober?
Yeah, I
being
mean,
sober?
everyone was still supporting it. They were happy and wanted to see me change my life. It was just hard for me to manage having that social life because, like you said earlier, if everyone else is
Yeah.
having a drink and I don't have a drink, I feel weird.
So how do you handle then? Without a drink, you can't really socialize. So what would you do in that situation?
For the first little while, because I was in recovery mode, just didn't care to go out anymore. My friends would try to invite me to some stuff, but some of the things that they were inviting me to is like frisbee golf or something. Then they would invite me for walks. It's like, dude, why can't we just go to breakfast? Just get breakfast, hang out, we'll go to a movie theater, we'll, go to a show, like do something else that's not a hard physical activity for me or drinking. And so then I don't really know what I did, to be honest. I'm trying to think. I think it was just like,
Just mental discipline?
yeah, just, just stop putting myself in the position where alcohol was the main factor of everything. Even though I worked in a brewery, I'm surrounded by alcohol. I'm surrounded by the same, like I said, toxic work environment. Going out on like friend dates and, just going to a Raptors game, going to, see comics. I had some other friends who were doing that stuff with me instead of just going out to like, bars or whatever. And even when I was going out to bars, I was getting, non-alcoholic cocktails. So literally just at some points just drinking cranberry juice and everyone else is just drinking because it gave that illusion that, he's still drinking, like he could be drinking vodka cranberries. I'm just drinking cranberry juice, dude. Like, so I was doing
Yeah.
things like that.
So you technically went cold turkey
Yeah.
on alcohol. That's very impressive because I think if you actually
Yeah.
get alcoholic, it's going to be hard to do that. Like you're going to crave for it. It's a habit, right? And habits
Yeah.
is really hard to break. So it's amazing that you can go cold turkey with alcohol
Well, for
right
me,
away.
like maybe I'm in denial. But I never saw myself as like an alcoholic who needed it every single day to get by. For me, my problem was when I start drinking, I don't stop. So I could go
Yeah.
days.
That is still
Yeah,
alcoholism.
but some people
Yeah.
don't classify it as that. My issue was when I start, I can't stop.
But I feel like this is the problem when people say this is not alcoholism and this is because it starts somewhere. No matter what, nobody starts drinking shots 3 times per day or 5 times per day, right? People start with like drinking socially, then they're like, okay, I cannot not drink if I'm not like in a social setting. I need to drink this. Then it's like we're going out. Then it's this, and then it just gradually becomes to the point where people might turn out like with the, addiction of drinking alcohol every day, or maybe not, but still, like even the fact that like people socially drink, it is, for me at least in my personal opinion, it is already the beginning of like having a problem anyways.
Do you ever feel tempted when you're around people or you're in a social setting?
Well, I'll be honest, I broke my sobriety, right? So I did 2 years sober.
That's a long time. Also, 2
Yeah.
years is a huge commitment to be sober.
The first year didn't have an issue. What had happened was nobody told me, and I wish somebody told me. And if anyone who's going sober now, do not get into a relationship within the first year of you going sober, because what happens is your whole thing is your whole mindset was like alcohol or whatever. In this case, alcohol this, alcohol that. You whatever feeling, whatever the chemical balance in your body is when you have that thing, now that you no longer have it, you're searching for it somewhere else. And so if you're talking to someone, you feel that spark in it, right? So you feel like, holy shit, like this is good. This, now I'm happy, and it's the exact same feeling as having that thing that you're addicted to. So then it gets worse because you want this all the time. You want to feel this way all of the time, but you're
Yeah.
also struggling with your own stuff, which is an actual addiction and an issue. And then it creates problems because, for example, this person, while they supported my life, didn't live that way, right? So started issues, and I went to therapy. Toronto started to feel way, way, way too toxic. And that's kind of when I realized I need to get out of here because I'm going to just slip back into a worse state that I was than before.
Toronto is toxic. Like, I totally agree. Like, sometimes you need space from Toronto. Like, when I go to Toronto, I honestly am so glad I'm back to like Hamilton, because I cannot, like, at certain point, you're just like, I need a break from Toronto.
Move to Vancouver, guys.
My parents want me to move. So you told that you would suggest people who are in like early stage sobriety or being sober right now to not get into a relationship. What other tips could you give for someone who is struggling right now?
Honestly, that was like the main thing that I learned.
Would you say it's helpful to go to therapy as well?
It depends, I'm not a therapy guy, but I wanted to give it a try anyways. And I wasn't going to like actual therapy. I was using BetterHelp. And the guy that I had was more of like an online friend rather than a therapist. But he's the one that kind of told me about the whole idea of like, don't get into a relationship because, what you were searching for in that substance is what you're searching for in this person or whatever. So I think if I maybe had waited the year and maybe met this person, a year and a half later, things would have been different. But in terms of any other tips, like just get yourself out of that environment, or, everybody who I know who has chosen to go sober has left Toronto because Toronto was
Yeah.
that bad of a place. And even some of my friends who are from where I live now, they left this city because to them, this place became too toxic. So you just get,
Yeah.
if you can't afford to move,
Not new.
yeah, if you can't
Yeah.
afford to move, I understand that. Like, I'm lucky to have this place. I would never be able to afford this place, but it just came up. I was able to get it. If you can't move, just start going to different places. Don't go to the bars. Go read a book. As weird as that sounds coming from me, because I haven't read a book since I was 12. Read a book. Go play soccer. Go do something. Do something else where you're gonna meet other people. At this age, when you're 30, people are like, "Do you want to go play Pokemon or something?" We're like, "Yeah, let's go."
Yeah.
I don't know if you read the book called Atomic Habits by James Clear, but I think what you just described is exactly what he said in the book, to build a healthy habit. But for your situation is to break a bad habit, right? So step one is like, make yourself aware of what you're doing. So you aware that if you go to a bar, the chance that you get a drink will be really high. So you try to remove yourself from that situation. So just to make it easier for yourself. James Clear says that mental discipline never work. It takes too much of your energy. The easiest way is just to remove yourself from the situation. Like, disassociate yourself from anything related to the habit that you want to break up with. So yeah, I think you just kind of summarize his book from your story.
I can proudly say that I have not read that book. Like I said, exaggeration of 12. It might have been even 8 years old the last time I read a book. I don't read books.
Yeah, but no, what you say is a perfect example from the book.
How has your family and friends like been around you? I know they're proud of you to be sober and to choose a better life for yourself. I'm proud of you as well.
You know, my parents were always like, "You're an adult. You can do whatever you want. If you want it, if you want to start drinking again, just be more careful this time." Once I did start drinking again, though, my mom was like, "Oh, so this is what you're doing again?" And I was like, "Mom, I'm just, dude, I get home at 3 in the morning. And if I got the next day off, I'll be fine to just sit here and play my video games, have a couple drinks. It's not like I'm drinking the entire bottle." "Okay, yeah, just be careful." And I was like, "All right, love you, Mom."
Thank you for coming on the podcast and talking about it and being so vulnerable and open.
Thank you for having me. I'm in a spot now where I can help other people because of what I've gone through, and I kind of relate to other people. Uh, I have another guy. He's a spitting image of me when I was his age. The same family stuff that we've gone through, and I just keep telling him, "Dude, I know it sucks now, but trust me, you'll get better. Just don't fall into the same trap that I did." And we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Hopefully, he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing though. What you're doing,
Yeah.
you can be. I don't know. It might sound funny, but you can be their role models. Like, see, this is what happened to me. It could happen to you too. So, better stay
Yeah.
away from it.
Yeah, it's amazing and inspiring. To anyone listening, if you're struggling, you're not alone. There are resources available: Alcoholics Anonymous, Smart Recovery Hotlines, therapists, support groups. Reaching out is a sign of strength, not weakness. And those who are supporting someone they love, remember to give them compassion, patience, and listening matters. Sobriety is possible, it's beautiful, life changing, and worth celebrating. Thank you all for joining us. And thank you, Loris, for being so generous with your story. And of course, your yapper energy. Like, I feel like you yapped like the entire episode. Like, we went like different topics.
That's that ADHD, baby.
But yeah, I missed that. I remember. Like, I'm like, oh, this story went to that
Yeah.
story.
Well, it was a pleasure being on here. Thank you for having me. Yeah. Good luck with the show. Wish you guys all the best. And anyone,
Thank you. Thank you for
of
supporting
course,
us.
and anyone struggling out there, you got it. Just take it a day at a time. Deuces.